for joining us today for Island Innovation Demo Day 2021. My name is Takaharu Iwasaki from Magic Connection, and I am a co-organizer for today's event. This event is also co-organized by Engawa KYOTO, which is a co-working business creating place operated by Dentsu. Island Innovation Demo Day is a two-day event where we bring entrepreneurs, investors, corporations, and startups from both Japan and Hawaii to showcase and discuss innovations, technology, business ideas to challenge ESG, which are environmental, social, and governance problems in the island communities. Today is our startup pitch day, which presents Hawaii's startup to Hawaii and the Japanese market. This event is simultaneously translated into Japanese and live streamed to a lot of Japanese people too. もし今英語でお聞きの方で日本語でお聞きされたい視聴者の方は Zoom の下にある地球のボタンから日本語を選んでご視聴ください。Before going to the main part of this event, I'd like to explain this event and go over some housekeeping. We established Island Innovation Demo Day in 2019 to enhance technology and innovation that can help island communities, economies, and business to thrive. Hawaii and Japan have a lot of similarities in culture, geography, business, and people. So our second mission is to connect Hawaii and Japan and create an ecosystem and community to accelerate innovation and technology and boost the economy and enhance our island culture together. Our focus is especially on startups, entrepreneurs, and youth who are eager to explore the opportunities and create a better future for island communities. Today, we have 6 amazing startups from Hawaii who have ideas, technology, and a passion for environmental, social, and governance sustainability. To evaluate our startups, 6 judges who are experts from various areas such as venture investment, technology, energy, and the legal fields. This is a very rare opportunity for you to see how those Japanese experts evaluate and give their feedback to Hawaii startups. We have significant rewards for the first prize winner at the pitch event. Thanks to our amazing partners, both in Japan and Hawaii, we have free memberships from 3 locations: Box Shelly in Hawaii, Engawa KYOTO in Kyoto, Japan, and Ginza Scratch in Ginza, Tokyo. In addition to this free access to co-working place, our Japanese partners will provide the startup with hands-on service to facilitate their remote work if you have to go work in Japan. Also, we are ready to provide a safe investment to the first prize winner if the agreement can be reached. Finally, Magic Connection promises hands-on support, advice, and reference for the first prize winner, especially with the Japanese market and the partners. If you wanted to get more information about our startup, please download the startup info sheet from this QR code or the chat link. This information is not on the Island Innovation Demo Day on the website, so please make sure to download it, especially if you like to make inquiries or contact the startups. The QR code appears at the right corner of my background too. We have a great partnership with various companies from Japan and Hawaii. Box Shelly, Blue Startups, Ginza Scratch, and Black Belt Legal Inc. to make this event even better. We also have a great partner providing interpretation, Dreamcatcher Inc., and the Japan Medical Interpretation Service to make this event available in Japanese too. If you're interested in the services and the businesses of our partners, including translation, please feel free to contact them from the contact information on the digital brochure that you can download from the QR code or chat link again. This is a rough timetable for today. Please note that this is a just estimate for the schedule, so it might be changed. Before starting a pitch part, we would like to open this event with a presentation from Masato Nakamura at the Glin Impact Capital, one of the first impact venture capital companies in Japan, to give you a few ideas to understand what impact investment, sustainable businesses, and technology trends are in Japan. Okay, one more thing before the presentation of Masa. This event is recorded and published to the people who missed this live stream. We do not accept any question for our startup during the event due to the time constraint. However, your question are welcome to the two presentations that are coming up after this and during the evaluation. Please understand that we still have limited time for that, so we might not able to accept all of the questions for the presentation too. Lastly, please help us to improve our events by responding to the survey that will pop up when this event ends. Your feedback is always important to us. Okay, finally, I can see Masa, so he must be ready for this. So I'd like to welcome Masa from Glin Impact Capital. Masa, are you ready for the pitching?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay, I will give you the access to share slides, so please start whenever you want.
Yep. Let me share the slide. Do you see the slide right now?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. Let me move to the
Yeah, you want to do the presentation mode.
Right. Do you see it?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So yeah, thank you very much, Takaho-san, for inviting. It is really pleasure and honor to speak at this event, and I really have been excited to speak for the event today. So thank you very much for the great opportunity. So my name is Masato Nakamura. I work for Glin Impact Capital. Glin Impact Capital is impact investing and ESG investing fund in Japan. We mainly invest in startups in Japan, but also we look for investing into some startups in US as well. And that's why we got connected to Takaho-san a few months ago. But anyways, so we have been working together with some social startups and ESG startups in Japan, also working together with large corporates who would like to work together with startups, ESG startups, or would like to sometimes M&A startups, ESG startups internationally. So we would love to share some thoughts that we have from our experience. And yeah, it's really a pleasure to kick off this opening session. So without further ado, let's get started on my presentation. It's gonna be 10 minutes presentation, so it's gonna be very quick. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask after, so that we can have some discussions after this presentation. First of all, let me introduce my fund, Glin Impact Capital. So we consist of 3 general partners. All of them are Japanese. We met at business school in the US 3 years ago actually. But before that, we have been working for Japanese large corporates for 8 to 10 years. So also we worked in some Asian countries. And after that, in 2018, we went to business school in the US. And after that, we have been working with companies both in Japan and US. So what we would like to say here is basically we have business experience in Japan, as well as we have been seeing a lot of business innovations in the US and Japan as well. So we'd love to share some thoughts today with all of you. And also we officially have 3 advisors from Harvard Business School where we studied for 2 years. And all of these 3 professors have been teaching ESG and impact investing, also social entrepreneurship. So especially in the last 3 years, we have been getting so much insight and network from these privileged advisors. So we also would like to share our thoughts, their thoughts through today's presentation as well. And for the next slide, this is what we do. So we mainly invest in Japanese startups recently in growth stage, which means 2-3 years before IPO, and we give some consulting support or value add support for the portfolio companies, mainly in terms of ESG and impact investing ways. So we help companies to integrate ESG strategies to their main business development strategy. Also, we help them communicate their ESG impact SDGs strategies to consumers and investors, so that they would be able to attract these new customers and also new investors who would be interested in investing in those companies. So that's how we add value on the portfolio companies. So with these experience and the knowledge we got from the work, we would like to share some thoughts about social problems and innovations in Japan, happening in Japan. So first of all, in Japan, we have a lot of social problems, which are some problems are extremely lagging behind from the world, and some problems are actually leading ahead of the world. So for the lagging behind part, we have 3 big problems in Japan. The one is gender equality. So as you might know, Japan is, to be honest, like the worst country for female to work. There's a glass ceiling, obviously, for the female. So this is like one of the biggest problems right now in Japan, and we are trying to invest in the companies who's trying to solve these problems. Also, for the diversity in the society, it's still, Japan is quite closed society for non-Japanese and LGBTQ. So we also back up those startups who wants to solve these problems. Also, we have mental illness, mental health problems, and in Japan, Japan has been one of the worst countries in terms of suicide from the stress of the daily works. So this is also another big problem. And for the leading ahead social problems part, we have declining birth rate, decreasing number of child and kids, and at the same time, Japan has been getting very aging society. So there's so many problems coming out of this situation. And also, if we talk about agriculture and food waste, there's also a big problem here because of supply chain problem. Japan has a lot of food waste, and which is one of the worst in the world. So these are the social problems we have been addressing right now. But not only these, recently in COP26, we got wholesale award from the NGOs, and which means Japan has been lagging behind in clean energy technologies, and Japan relies on majority of its energy from fossil fuel energy, such as coal and LNG and oil. So we really need to change this problem, and not only problems caused by human society, but also there are many problems caused by natural disasters. So in Japan, there are so many earthquakes, tsunamis, and typhoons, etc. So if we look at these data, 20% of earthquakes in the world happens in Japan, 20% of tsunami happens in Japan, and so many typhoons coming every year. And if you look at this center graph, there's a huge financial damage caused by natural disasters. So there's a lot of insurance companies and banks who have been looking to invest in startups to solve these problems. And with all of these social problems, there is an increasing number of ESG investments who would like to support and invest in the companies, including startups, to address these social problems. And especially after COVID, there is a surging number of investing amount coming into this ESG and impact investing sector. But the problem is still in Japan, startup ecosystem has not been grown yet as much as US, China, Europe, India, all of other developed countries. So what we can say here is there is an increasing number of investing amount coming into startup ecosystem as well in terms of ESG and impact investing, but there is still limited number of startups, ESG impact investing, social startups in Japan yet. And that's why I would say there is an imbalance of money inflow and between money inflow and startups to receive money from investors. So nowadays there is increasing trend of the company valuation and market cap. So I think nowadays it is indeed startup market right now, especially startups who would like to solve these problems. And if you do so, I'd say it would be very good to good time to raise money and raise valuation. So my conclusion is nowadays we need more ESG startups to solve problems in Japan. And these startups, meaning not only startups in Japan, but startups in Hawaii or startups in the US who would be willing to come to Japan and help solve these problems. So this is my view right now with working for impact investing fund. And that's it for the presentation. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer.
Yeah, thank you so much, Masa. There was a lot of good insight and follow-up updates from Japan. And then I think we don't have so much time, unfortunately, but I have a couple of questions that I want to ask. So what kind of like US startup most likely can be successful in Japan if they want to go to Japanese market? Like energy startup, or what could be the opportunity for the US startup?
So right now, clean energy, clean tech has been extremely becoming kind of boom and popular, but there's not so many startups doing this in Japan yet. But so there is a huge opportunities for startups like in E sector, energy clean tech sector in Japan. So that's one. And but also for the supply chain or S and G, still limited in Japan. The number of startups working for these sectors are still limited. So I would say all of startups related to ESG, environment, social governance, there's a big opportunity in Japan.
I see. Well, there's no question on the question side, but there's actually a question to directly message to me. So this question is, why do you think Japan ranks as one of the worst ranked in terms for the gender equality?
Yeah, I think it's mainly from the traditional reason. So until, let's say, 120, 200 years ago, there is no place for female to work in a professional way. So so basically, that's kind of like historical and traditional reason is one of the biggest background. But yeah, second, I think Japan is still closed society in terms of race, religion, and way of thinking. So we haven't really seen a lot of like culture innovation in the last 200 years compared with other countries such as US or Europe. So Japan has been closed society, so there's not so many culture innovations happening. That's another reason. But at the same time, in the last 10 years, government has been starting so much pressure on this issue to private companies. So there is a momentum, and there's I have been seeing some good things happening here, but still extremely long way to go.
Okay, thank you so much. Like, although we can go deep more discussion about this, I think it's about time to move to the next section. Thank you so much, Masa. And if any of you guys interested in what he's doing or Glin Impact Capital, please contact Masa through the contact info at the startup info at this QR code. Thank you, Masa.
Thank you very much, Takao-san. Good luck.
Thank you. So now finally, we would like to move to today's startup pitch. The first startup is PlantBaby, which develops a portfolio of clean label organic plant-based foods and the beverage to support families on the nutritional journey from infancy to the adulthood. Rebecca, are you ready to pitch?
Yes,
Hi.
we are.
Aloha.
Hello. So when you're
Hi.
ready, please share screen and start your pitch.
Sure, we can do that. Let's do. Can you see this?
Yes, perfect. Maybe you can switch to the screen or up to you. Yeah, perfect. Please go for it.
Okay. Well, thank you all for your time and attention today. We really appreciate it. My name is Alex, and this is Rebecca, and we
Hello.
are part of the early team at PlantBaby. I'm a co-founder, and Rebecca manages communications. We're really excited to be here today and share more about what we're building. So we are a future-forward nutrition movement. We founded the company back in March of 2020 when my wife, Lauren, who is also a co-founder, we couldn't find a suitable infant formula for our son. We were looking for a dairy-free, soy-free, and organic infant formula, and it just didn't exist. So we put on our thinking hats and started to really research the whole industry. And we realized that Alakai, our son, his entire nutritional journey had gaps with gaps in terms of organic food, of clean label, healthy, nutrient-dense food. And we thought, well, let's start with infant formula and build a whole portfolio of products. So we have a big vision here at PlantBaby to get back to nature, to get back to basics, and to commercialize products that are formulas, supplements, foods, and beverages. So this is a little bit more about our story and why we're here. I was told early on as an entrepreneur that solving your own pain point is the best way to approach building a business. And that's what we did. We couldn't find that infant formula solution for our baby boy, and we decided to get to work. And that has led us to building this company, which is now 1.5 years old and just launched recently. So the reason why, and as it's a very compelling challenge that's in front of us is, simply put, the future generation health is at risk. If you look at these stats, they're staggering. 1 in 4 have a chronic health condition. 1 in 6 children are obese. This is in the US. 1 in 13 have a food allergy. 90% aren't eating enough vegetables. 2/3 of food is consumed as processed foods. And 30% of total global emissions come from food production. So it's a complete, it's very related to our climate change and global warming, and that we have to figure out the food supply in order to save our planet. So a lot of reasons why PlantBaby is needed. This speaks to why plant-based foods are the future. And for me, I primarily eat plant-based, dairy-free. It's been an incredibly good decision for me from a health perspective. And then you look at what happens in terms of the environmental consequences and the pounds of carbon that's released based upon the foods that are processed. And you'll see that beef and pork and chicken are extremely consequential from a carbon output versus vegetables like potatoes, apples, and asparagus that are just much more mild on the environment. So we started with infant formula, and we started thinking about the milk category at large for our son. And what we saw is a lot of adult milks, adult non-dairy alt milks out in the market, but we didn't see a dairy-free milk made for kids. Our son is actually turning 2 years old. Today is his birthday, and he's drinking a good amount of milk. But we didn't want to give him the dairy milk because of issues with his health and the environment. It didn't exist. In a world of nut milks, there just wasn't that alt milk that was made for children. So we decided to do something about it, which brings us to Kiki milk. And this is our launch product at PlantBaby. It's the most nutrient-dense, organic, plant-based milk on planet Earth. It's the first product in our PlantBaby portfolio. We just released pre-orders in October, and it's going quite well. We're going to market with a chocolate milk and an original milk. Here are the ingredients. The ingredients are exclusively organic whole foods. That's all that's in there. It's a very nutrient-dense blend of superfood. So the main ingredients are organic oats, organic hemp, organic sprouted pumpkin seeds, and organic coconuts. We have a nourishing blend for original that includes banana and amla. And then for chocolate, we have a nourishing blend that includes spinach, blueberry, and cacao. The formulation was designed with a team of food scientists, pediatricians, and nutritionists, really thinking about growing bodies and what young children need. What got us increasingly excited is the growth of this industry, yet no one's focusing like we are on the kid appeal and plant-based. You'll see a lot of adult brands and a lot of cow brands, but very limited plant brands and kid appeal brands. So that's where Kiki milk fits in this matrix. Kind of zooming in even closer on some of our competition, you'll see that we're the only milk on the market that checks the boxes of kid appeal, pediatrician approved, organic certified, plant-based, and preservative free. And as I mentioned, our ingredients earlier. So we're very excited that we're filling a much needed gap in this category. I would say our real main competition, that's a commercial milk that's funded by a significant company called Ripple, came out with a kids milk about 6 months ago. As a parent and as a business person, I think that it's pretty clear why Kiki milk has the potential to win in this category. Simply just look at the ingredients. The ingredients tell the most impressive story, which they're all ingredients that you can pronounce, that you can understand, and that you'd want to put in your body. Whereas Ripple is made in a lab and is much more chemically processed. But what's really also, gets Rebecca and I excited about building this company is original and chocolate Kiki milk are just the beginning.
Yeah, so our vision for PlantBaby and Kiki milk goes far beyond just original and chocolate Kiki milk. We are currently developing additional flavors of Kiki milk, including unsweetened, superfruit, and macadamia. And these will be available in a variety of formats from 8 ounces to 32 ounces, and eventually a powdered form to make it more accessible. We're also working on a Kiki Yo or yogurt, Kiki ice cream, and Kiki sprinkles. Once the Kiki milk brand is more established, that's when we want to come out with our PlantBaby line of products. This includes infant formula, toddler milk, supplements, and potentially some food and snacks. So in terms of impact, we like to say that PlantBaby is a company for the future generation today. What does this mean? Well, at PlantBaby, we like to look at the data and stats to see what consumers are demanding. And what we're seeing is consumers are witnessing more and more the harms of dairy, not only on their bodies, but on the planet. So much so that they're consuming less dairy, approximately 40% less since 1975. Instead, they're consuming more plant-based foods. According to Bloomberg, the global plant-based alternative market could reach up to $162 billion in the next decade. So how do PlantBaby products stand out from other products on the market? PlantBaby products do not have dairy, gums, gluten, preservatives, GMOs, soy, or glyphosate, the world's most common pesticide. Rather, they are plant-based, climate-friendly, organic, made with whole foods, and they taste amazing. Another reason PlantBaby stands out is because we focus on sustainability. We strive to create products that are climate friendly. For example, Kiki milk uses 45% less carbon emissions than dairy, and we strive to be socially responsible. Looking into 2022, Kiki milk will achieve carbon neutrality, and PlantBaby will become a certified B Corporation. We're also really proud to partner with Planet Forward and Farmers Footprint, two organizations who are helping us to improve our supply chain and partner with farmers who are supporting regenerative agriculture.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we look at this from a macro standpoint and look at the categories that Kiki milk is squarely in the center of, plant-based foods is growing at a 12% clip. Kids food and beverage is growing at a 5% rate. And what's really interesting is the non-dairy growth rate versus the dairy growth rate. The non-dairy growth rate in the US is a 16.7% compounded annual growth rate, where the dairy category is simply a 2.3% growth rate. So we're really benefiting from these trends and these macro environmental factors. We're in a category that attracts a lot of investment. We've raised a pre-seed round, and we're going to be raising our seed round soon. When you look at the peers in this category, from Oatly to Notco, Ripple, Kate Farms, Khalifa Farms, and then we included Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods as two really notable plant-based companies. These companies are raising hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, with incredible valuations. Yet none of these companies are actually focused on families and children. So I think we're going to hopefully be on this list someday in the future. Our revenue projections come from 3 different distribution channels. Direct to consumer, so kikimilk.com is live. You can check it out now. In 2022, we plan on bridging the gap into some retail grocery chains, as well as e-commerce partners. We just got approved to be in Thrive Market, which will be in December. And we're going to be doing pop-up grocers in Miami and in New York in early 2022. And then in 23, you'll see just a really big growth explosion for us as we get into more chains like Whole Foods and Target, dive into Amazon and continue to grow our direct-to-consumer base through transaction and subscription models. This is my favorite slide of the presentation. The team is incredibly passionate, driven, motivated, and experienced. We have 5 full-time employees, Rebecca and myself, Lauren, my wife, co-founder and co-CEO. Andrew is the COO. He built Laird Superfoods and brought them to IPO. He was the first employee at Laird Superfoods. And then Catherine, also known as Kiki, is our director of marketing. And she's an incredibly talented marketing professional. We have some noteworthy advisors, including Dr. Zach Bush as our pediatrician, Dr. Joel Warsh, and then Vicky Koblener as our nutritionist. And we have 2 VCs in our pre-seed, which was great to have 2 venture capital firms back us before we even launched Big Idea Ventures and the fund. So that about wraps it up. I know that was a lot of information in a short amount of time, but hopefully that gets you excited for PlantBaby and Kiki Milk, and we're happy to address any questions or comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex and Rebecca. Now we are going to the Q&A session with one of the judges today. The assigned judge for PlantBaby is Nobu Morita, Director of Innovation at NECX. Before founding NECX, Nobu led a business unit in NEC America and successfully grew a data center product business in the US. Nobu has extensive experience in the enterprise IT market in both the US and Japan, has market. And also he has mentored numerous startups at NECX and Illinois Innovation Demo Day. Hi, Nobu, please start your question once you're ready.
Yes, yeah, thank you. It was great, pretty impressive. And yeah, thank you for sending the sample. I tried your product. Yeah, really like it. Yeah, I can even drink every day. Yeah.
You say made for kids, enjoyed by all. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's really the question I come up with. So I see many like a plant-based, the milk, the daily product in the grocery stores. So but I haven't really paid attention to the kids product. And so what is the most like the important requirement like to the kids product and the different from the adult product in terms of like maybe the plant-based product?
You want to speak to Vicky's thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Growing kids. Yeah.
So one thing that we're noticing is just the nutrition facts for kids. So you'll notice that Kiki milk has a little bit more calories than almond milk would, maybe 30 calories versus we have 140 calories. Our nutritionists just advise that kids are growing, so they need those calories for fuel. We have a touch of sugar in there because kids are, they're growing too. So that helps with that. Healthy fats to support their brain development as they're growing. And yeah, so just, I think people are looking for pediatrician approved, which our product is, organic, clean label. That's like our main differentiator. There are some kid milks, but they are not organic.
Right. So yeah, it's okay. So I see that like in many organic natural nutritions made with the Kiki milk. And how do you protect from someone else copying your product? Is there like any patents you filed, or do you have like any secret sauce for manufacturing?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we get that often as we raise capital. Many food companies opt for trade secrets rather than patents. So our trade secret is our formulation. Just like Coca-Cola is actually a trade secret. It's not a patent formula, because at some point that patent becomes public domain and that formula will be released. So we have a proprietary formulation that we worked over a year on with food scientists, pediatricians, and nutritionists to get that formulation that is a protected trade secret of PlantBaby Inc. We do it also through our brand. We're building a really beautiful, heart-driven community of people that see the story, see the products, see the brand, see the art, and that's something that we can build on and grow and nurture. And that's really hard for someone to copy. That authenticity and that emotional connection to our products. For us, this is such an enormously growing category that we imagine people will come in and think about plant-based foods for kids and families. That's why we're working hard to really be one of the first movers in the space, establish an incredible network of investors, advisors, of talent, of employees, and just continue to build the company as best we can and do what's right for the consumer. The rest will take care of itself, I believe. Yeah,
got it. Thank you. Got it. Yeah, I think building a blend for the kids would be good for your the business growth in the future as well, I believe. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, Rob and PlantBaby. The next startup is Hohonu. Hohonu provides science-driven water monitoring technology to tackle global sea level rise and accessible environmental data to help communities to fight back against climate change. Kevin, are you there? Hi, please start your presentation once you're ready.
Okay, great. Let me know if you're able to see.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's great seeing everyone on here. My name is Kevin Mukai. I'm the COO of Hohonu. And as Takaho mentioned, Hohonu is building a platform that calculates water risk for tides, floods, and sea level rise. And many communities around the world are already experiencing the impacts of climate change, from Fiji to South Carolina. And with this increased uncertainty in how climate change is impacting these communities, demand is also increasing for environmental insights. And so as part of this growing market, Hohonu is carving out a niche exclusively focused on water risk. And so our vision can really be distilled into three different parts. So first is that climate change and sea level rise is increasingly impacting communities across the world, with 70% of the global population living within 5 kilometers of the closest body of water. We need better data to protect these global communities. And being the owner and facilitator of this data, we believe will be hugely and increasingly valuable. And so what we're building is essentially the world's largest data set and suite of data services related to tides, floods, and sea level rise to serve a wide range of different verticals, which I'll go into. But first, really the core problem that we're addressing is that most of the water level data today that exists today is managed by federal governments around the world. And so that drawing on the left depicts but is really a extremely accurate and reliable, but a very expensive and bulky sensor that NOAA maintains. They're hundreds of thousands of dollars. They take a team of experts days to install. And the result of this is that there's a very sparse network of these. And this exists in basically every country around the world. But in the US, for instance, there's 95,000 miles of coastline in the US, and NOAA maintains less than 300 water level stations. And so what Hohonu does is, instead of needing hundreds of thousands of dollars to install and maintain just a single device, we provide a data service across dozens of locations for the previous price of one. But simply pulling sensors off the shelf and putting it on the coastline doesn't generate quality data. What you need is unique scientific expertise along with technology development across hardware, software, and data science to really generate usable data. And so in short, our scientific knowledge that's fueling the technology development is what makes Hohonu unique. And so our full solution is that we deploy hardware to measure water levels along coastlines, rivers, and streams. So we collect the data, we use software and algorithms to clean and analyze that data, and then we deliver it to our customers through our dashboard and through our APIs. And so what you're looking at here in this screenshot is actual data that we collected about 2 weeks ago from one of our customers who's located in South Carolina during a recent flooding event. And what they're able to do is they're able to use this as a benchmark, and they're able to use this data in order to better understand how the flooding impacted them this time around, and understanding how to better respond to them in the future. So our team, our founders have decades of experience collecting and using environmental data to restore natural environments. So our founders include Dr. Brian Glazer, who's an oceanography professor at the University of Hawaii. He's also a grantee of Schmidt Marine Technology Partners, and Dr. Nicole Elko, who is one of 3 civilians on the Army Corps of Engineers Coastal Engineering Research Board. Hohonu is, we're currently partnering with a NOAA-funded office to improve flood risk management across 54 Southeast US communities. To our knowledge, that this is the largest project type of its kind that NOAA is funding. And really strategically, NOAA is the global gold standard of ocean monitoring. Them funding this type of project is a signal that they recognize the need for help, and that they're actively looking to private companies to get that help. And especially with the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill that the House passed last week, and over 12.5 billion of that is devoted to flood management, we're positioning ourselves to both expand their services nationally, as well as the international agencies that trust NOAA's lead. At the foundation of it all, really any company, any community that's seeking prevention, mitigation, remediation of weather hazard risk, we believe will be interested in Hohonu's water level data. And so with this round of funding, we will be growing our sensor network to reach critical mass in key areas to be able to sell the data to these private markets, along with continuing to serve these underserved communities. The appetite for water risk intelligence is only growing. In 2020, 70% of insured losses came from secondary perils, such as flooding. These types of events have traditionally not generated as many losses for insurance companies in the past, but this is rapidly changing. Also in 2020, floods cost $6 billion in insured losses. And so any company that has a financial interest in physical assets, such as insurance and reinsurance, is paying increased attention to the increased losses that floods are already bringing. And so based on our current deployments in the Southeast US, we believe there's opportunity for 450,000 of our sensors worldwide. And with the growing market of interested customers in water risk, we believe that this would translate to a $5.9 billion market size. So we make money basically in two ways. Each device generates multiple revenue streams. The first is that we currently charge a base price of $3,100 per year per sensor, and that's for device installation and annual maintenance. And we also offer data services on top of that that we sell to other customers. And so really for any developer that's creating apps or models related to climate, including some of the companies that I listed on the initial slide at the beginning, Hohonu will be the de facto source for water level for those developers to be able to tap into. We differentiate ourselves from our competition with our team's scientific backgrounds, as well as our focus on coastlines, rivers, and streams. So there's a couple other companies that are kind of dancing around our space. One of them is So Far Ocean. They recently raised $39 million for ocean observing buoy technology. But their technology is much more of a complement rather than a competitive technology, as well as storm sensors, kind of a similar story. They raised $16 million, but they're focused exclusively on stormwater and sewage systems. And so we're the only low-cost sensor startup that's been funded by NOAA for our water level project. And we plan on leveraging that credibility to give us an advantage to deploy. In the US, there's 3.5 million miles of coastline, rivers, and streams alone. Our impact, we measure our impact. The growth of our impact, the sensor network provides direct and measurable outcomes according to Sustainable Development Goal 11, which is to implement policies for inclusion, resource efficiency, and disaster risk reduction. Specifically, our services help municipalities to improve their understanding of disaster risk and preparedness to avoid death, injury, and economic losses from natural disasters. And so far, we've proven that our technology works. We've deployed 50 sensors with our NOAA contracts that are mostly in the Southeast US. And right now we're raising a $1.5 million pre-seed so that we can grow our sensor network to be larger than NOAA's and begin selling data to private markets such as consulting firms, weather risk analytics, and reinsurance. And so far, we've allocated 600,000 of the 1.5 million to a mix of VCs and angels, and we're targeting to close the round in the next quarter.
All right. Thank you very much, Kevin. Moving to the Q&A session, I wanted to welcome Keisuke Kamiichi, designer of Dentsu Inc., which is a multi-international marketing and advertisement company. Keisuke has led a number of projects, both domestic and international, with global companies, focusing on strategy for new business collaboration, branding, and marketing, including the Tokyo Olympics 2021 project. Keisuke, are you here?
Yes.
Hi, thank you for being here. When you're ready, please start asking your question.
Hi, can you hear me? Thank you, Kevin-san. First of all, good to see you on presentation. So, thank you. So I registered for the demo on your website. So I'm not the light customer though. However, it is really happy experience to feel the coastline with Hawaii. Thank you. I'm right now in Makai. Hello, Oahu. So I understood that your value is its cost benefit, scientific backgrounds, and the focus on the coastline, rivers, and the streams. So I have two questions. The first is about the product. So you mentioned that it's the water level predictions is one of the best value proposition compared with the other competitors. Could you tell us a bit detail about the accuracy of the prediction?
Yeah, so we've run studies, and right now we're participating in a study that's being run by NOAA in Florida right now. So our own internal studies show, I mean, it's millimeter accuracy on the measurements.
Yeah.
And over the course of a year, we ran a study at Mackay Pier and we ran our predictions versus NOAA's. And our predictions 3 days out were 80% better than NOAA's. We always say that's not a knock against NOAA, and NOAA is not a competitor. They're just kind of the best benchmark that we have. And the way that they've been predicting tides and water levels hasn't changed much, you know, in the last decades. And we're using machine learning algorithms that, as we collect more data and build up our sensor network, that'll build up a network effect for us.
Okay, thank you. That's clear. So the second question is, in terms of the global extension, are there any geographical requirements for your technology to perform best? Because I'm asking is that I guess that the situation with the coastline between Japan and Hawaii is a bit or quite big differentiation.
Anything. So our installations take place on a fixed structure. So bridges, piers, docks and so it has to be anywhere as long as it's about 10 feet above the water level. That's perfect. And it just, the device is not in the water. The device sits above the water and it sends a signal down to the water and measures that. But installation is pretty easy. It takes less than an hour. We can be instantly sending data to our dashboard.
Oh, less than 1 hour, you say. Okay, that's interesting. So thank you for today's presentation.
Thank you so much for the questions.
All right. Thank you, Kamichi-san and Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to the next pitch. The next pitch startup is the Kuehnle AgroSystems, aka KAS, is a microalgae product development company focused on the sustainable production of high protein food and red astrocytin pigment for the multiple market. Hi, Heidi. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry, my pronunciation was very bad. When you're ready, please start your pitch, and maybe you can share the screen for your slide, and you can start your pitch.
How is that?
Yes, perfect.
So thank you very much. My name is Heidi Kuehnle. I'm the CTO or Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of Kuehnle AgroSystems. We're a biotechnology company located here in beautiful Honolulu. We are focused on redefining sustainable food ingredients with algae. So an urgent question that we face is, how can we feed 10 billion people sustainably by 2050? Our global food supply is already challenged today by water and land scarcity and by climate threat. Experts agree that conventional food systems are unsustainable and they urgently need change. Our vision is to replace unsustainable food ingredients with nutritious algae while preserving our natural resources of water and land. Our plan is to launch with 2 lead algae products, which are ready now to quickly build a $100 million company. Let's look at one of our lead products, which is alternative protein. Today's production of protein uses up water and land at levels that threaten humanity. We wanted to fix that. 1 ton of our algae protein uses only a fraction of water and land. In fact, over 99% less when you compare it to soybean or to beef. How do we do that? Our breakthrough technology is a patented fermentation process for producing high volumes at low cost. Our proprietary algae grow in tanks in complete darkness. There's no light required, unlike for other algae or plant crops that must grow in light for photosynthesis. We have a very strong ESG impact on the environmental side because very little water and land is used, as we discovered how to grow the algae to these very high concentration in vertical tanks. Our production is massively scalable using standard fermentation equipment. These tank systems are already used by industry all over the world for growing microbes. You may know these tanks because if you drink beer, that's how the yeast is grown. And this is a platform technology with enormous market pull for multiple products. Our process is revolutionary. It's extremely fast. It yields 1 ton of product from flasks in just 2 weeks. Compare that to soybean crops, which take months, for example. It's 100% product. You eat the whole algae. There's no plant waste, no stems, no leaves that are discarded. And our algae protein helps slash emissions. It produces 90% fewer greenhouse gas emissions than beef does. We are disrupting the billion-dollar algae protein market with our technology. This market is estimated to have a 6% CAGR going in the next 5 years, with Asia Pacific being the fastest growing region for this plant-based protein. Our product is already approved for use in many countries in Asia and in the US. It delivers access to higher quality vegan nutrition than the algae competition. It has higher protein quality than chlorella, higher digestibility than spirulina algae, and it's cheaper by 3 times. We are also disrupting the billion-dollar astaxanthin market using our technology. Natural astaxanthin is a red antioxidant colorant. It's in a vibrant market with a robust growth, the estimated growth of about 16% CAGR in the next 5 years. That's remarkable. And what's also remarkable, it's already present today in 3 million tons of farmed seafood, but as a synthetic petrochemical color that they add to the animal feed. If you eat farmed fish, you are eating this product, and it's not the natural product. That's where we come in. We're going to replace the synthetic product with a sustainable natural algae. We're closely engaged with fermentation and B2B companies to bring our products into the market. This is including in Japan. As you can see, several Japanese companies here. We have shipped product for evaluation by these industry leaders, and we've established an excellent track record through their independent evaluations that have resulted in letters of intent to purchase product. We have the right team in place to execute our plan. Our CEO is Dr. Claude Kaplan, with many years experience in animal health enterprise. Myself, I have over 20 years leading R&D teams in bioproducts, and our co-founder and chief admin officer, Gordon Wallace, has over 20 years in project management. We're supported by a passionate team of scientists and our board of directors dedicated to feeding the world sustainably. We're seeking $2 million in our Series A. The use of proceeds is to quickly scale up manufacturing to commence sales. We want to convert our existing letters of intent with lead customers into purchase agreements, and we'd like to make some key hires. If you're interested in participating, let's talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Heidi. Okay, cast questioning judge is Risa Ishii from Plug and Play Tech Center, which is one of the biggest accelerators located in the Bay Area. Risa is working at the Plug and Play as the director of Japanese partnerships to support Japanese big corporation innovation by matchmaking with the startups from around the world. She manages over 50 Japanese corporations. Risa, are you here?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Hi. Please start your question when you're ready.
Hi. Thank you, Heidi, for your presentation. I think it's really interesting as I love to dive in and I do like to eat a lot of plants, but I had some questions. So first of all, like it looked like a powder and it looked like a really good supplement for your food, but kind of one, I'm just personally curious what it tastes like. And also, you know, could it be kind of a, besides being in a supplemental form, could it be kind of like a main food? I don't know how much of that product could be actual kind of replacement to kind of what we as humans consume in terms of volume and like a fulfillment, to be honest. So we'd like to kind of hear a bit more detail as to your product.
Yeah, sure. That was very insightful. In fact, most people they think of microalgae as food supplements, as nutritional supplements, and not as an integral part of food. But that's where the sea change of shift is happening right now with microalgae, especially, and this is where our niche is, because we can produce it much cheaper than anybody else, and it becomes competitive with these other sources of protein. And then when you layer, so the intent is to become a food ingredient, and that's what it's approved for in the regulatory analyses. It's all allowed to go into food. And when you layer on the impact on the environment, then people go, aha, well, not only we know about beef emissions and protein being really bad, but then they start thinking about crop emissions, not just the emissions, but the use of the water and the land, which is not sustainable for the future. So if we want to start making an impact today for our future protein for our foods that we eat, we need to start looking at solutions like we're offering in order to not have to be concerned about land and water use. As you know, like with soybean protein is commonly what you'll find in vegan materials. They're clearing rainforests as we speak to be able to plant more soybean. And that's destroying the ecosystems that are actually capturing the carbon that is causing our earth to get so warm. And so if you grow algae instead in these fermenters, you don't have the removal of these natural ecosystem carbon sinks. So price competitive, so a competitive price structure with proteins that you're using in vegan materials and that ESG impact are why these multinational corporations are talking to us today to get this production going to make the volumes they want.
So kind of despite the amount of, obviously it needs to be in the container, needs to be kept at a certain condition, of course, for it to grow for algae, it's still cheaper than what you said with, for example, soybeans and so forth.
Once we're at scale, yes, in the large factories it will be. That's key, and that's where the fundraising is leading to.
Got it. I don't know if you mentioned anything about competitors, like the direct competitors or similar kind of companies. Have you seen those, or is it really unique to your company?
So for the protein, because no one else has our technology, we have the only patents, and this includes patents pending in Japan. Our particular protein is our superfood algae, I should say. It's a whole food. Nobody else can produce it, this particular species. And so there's only two other competitors really that are allowed regulatory wise, as spirulina and chlorella, and we are far cheaper than them, which allows us to transition into this food category away from the supplements. I can talk about the astaxanthin. We are the only company that can produce this algae in the dark, and our costs are tenfold less than the current natural alternative to synthetic astaxanthin. And because it's so scalable in these tanks, which already exist today, that we can quickly penetrate the market and make an impact within a few years and be very profitable. We've got a 74% profit margin.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's impressive. One last question. I don't know, I haven't gotten a message from Taka yet, but why do you think there's a reason that you've been getting a lot of traction from Japanese companies?
Yeah,
coincidence?
well, I think, we all see that Hawaii and Japan have common problems, and agriculture is in there, and microalgae, people have recognized microalgae as really being this source of many different ingredients that are healthful, but the problem has been the pricing. And some of these companies I've known for over 10 years, and so we've built a long relationship working together towards sustainable ingredients. And this includes some of our pipeline ingredients, where we really see that enabling a cheap and large volume way to produce algae is really going to solve a lot of problems that they're facing. They only have GMO, genetically altered soybean, as their option, and the consumers don't want that. So we've been working long-term plans on how to substitute a multiple ingredients. And I guess with us and our Japanese partners, we're working collaboratively with this global mindset, and we have a mission that we want to accomplish.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, thank you, and keep us updated on that.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Risa and Heidi. So are you guys ready to move to the next startup? The next startup is Greenshoot, which helps natural disaster survivors proactively share their community's needs in real time, communicate critical updates on the recovery process, and tell a more vivid personal story beyond just asking for money. Daisa, maybe you can turn on video right now for what Duaning Adam is presenting. Yeah, you can turn on video. Adam, please start your slide and start your pitch.
Okay. Hi, I'm Adam, the founder of Greenshoot. While much of the emphasis related to climate change is rightfully on mitigation, unfortunately, many communities are already dealing with the crisis. Every year, natural disasters affect over 90 million people and require individuals, businesses, and governments to cover the $125 billion bill for uninsured damages. This is a large number, but maybe not overly worrying, at least not yet. But what if we can't stabilize greenhouse gases? What if we can't change? If the status quo remains, then years with $500 billion in economic losses like 2011 and 17 will become the norm. Underlying these numbers are real local economies that have to get back online as quickly as possible to survive. For some, including island communities worldwide, the existential threat of climate change is already here. I know because my wife and I are climate migrants. In 2017, we survived Hurricane Irma by sheltering in our bathtub while the record-breaking storm destroyed our island paradise of the British Virgin Islands. What I experienced in the aftermath was an antiquated disaster relief sector. The joy we felt when evacuated after 7 days with dwindling supplies and no running water or electricity was overshadowed by disappointment when handed a Red Cross bag that lacked considerations for my specific needs. Of the seven items in the care package, 3 were hair products. Trivial, I know, but I've been bald for over 10 years. In the years since, I've learned that my frustration is not unique. Survivor after survivor tells me their recovery is slowed because the organizations there to help don't understand the needs of their community. They say things like, we need X, but they're bringing in Y. In fact, 50 to 70% of the goods delivered during an emergency aren't needed or are inappropriate for that region's recovery. Survivors know what their community needs, but have a difficult time getting it. Donors have a similar but opposite problem. Many want to help, but don't know where to start. Historically, large charities bridge this gap, but the goodwill that these organizations benefited from has eroded in the age of instant information. Nearly 50% of donors say they have more money to give, but need to understand how their donation was used before doing so. After Irma, I struggled to understand how a small island nation like the BVI, whose GDP is dominated by tourism, could recover. After many conversations with other survivors, nonprofits, and donors, a few things became clear. Disaster relief has to become more capital efficient to meet the accelerating pace of damage and economic losses. This starts with empowering survivors to communicate the supplies they need to rebuild. While many humanitarian organizations keep survivors alive in the first several weeks after a disaster, our mission is to give survivors their lives back in the months and years following a disaster, to bring green shoots of economic growth. Using a wedding registry style format, we help survivors share their needs through a recovery registry. Registries help survivors list their needs, then share these needs with family, friends, and the public, who can then donate cash towards a specific item. In the process, we help donors feel more comfortable with their choice to give. Our solution helps survivors and donors alike have a maximum impact with less waste. Many organizations promise to support communities in need, but aren't transparent in who they've helped. Others help crowdfund billions by listing dollar amounts requested, but don't help communities get back on their feet as fast as possible. Nor do they meet the demands of a new generation of donor who want to know how their donation, that their donation is going directly to those in need. This is where Greenshoot comes in. We're developing a conceptually simple solution for survivors and donors to intersect. I'm a former Wall Street trader, leveraging my skill set to help local economies recover faster. I recently brought on Greg as part-time CTO, and he's helping with the build out of the coding that I've already done. We're structured as a Delaware public benefit corporation and make money through a voluntary transaction fee estimated at $4.50 using the lower bound of fees collected by other donation-based platforms. But if successful, we're much more than just a crowdfunding platform. We're a data aggregator, providing real-time location-based data to adjacent markets like manufacturing and retailing to identify supply-demand dislocations. In 2020, over 137 million cash transactions were made to disaster relief in the US alone. Over 24 million of these were made online by Gen X and millennials to hurricane and wildfire relief. This is our starting point. We face a chicken and egg challenge. We're tackling this by focusing on supply first, targeting survivors of $1 billion plus natural disasters from Texas to Florida, and in particular, Louisiana, which has been hammered in the last 2 years, with plans to expand to hurricane, wildfire, and earthquake-prone regions like California, the Caribbean, and the Asia Pacific. We provide immediate single-player utility through tools like needs list creation, discussions and alerts, and preparedness planning. As we acquire supply, our challenge will be to convert this into demand by relying on survivors to invite friends and family to drive donations. 54 registries are live to date, predominantly associated with Hurricane Ida. Shown on the right, we expect donor LTV to increase as donors align with our mission and the number of repeat donations increases. Furthermore, donor CAC should decrease as survivors recruit donors and user-generated content produces powerful SEO. Next year, I plan to raise $250K to expand our team to help over 1,000 survivors in the 2022 hurricane season. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Adam. Okay, so I want to welcome Dai Yoshida for Q&A session. Dai-san, think you can pull up the video finally. After working in various multi-international companies such as GE, BlackRock, Sony PlayStation, Dai started his own law firm, Black Belt Legal Inc., to support his clients, which include venture capital, startups, and publicly traded large corporations. Dai is also an advisor of a lot of startups, VC, and accelerators, both in Japan and US. Aloha, Dai. Please be asking your question to Adam when you're ready. Dai-san, you're
Sure,
here?
thank you.
Oh,
Yes, I am
off.
here. My
I
camera,
can
I try to, yeah, please turn it on.
I
Yeah.
can turn, sorry for, hold a second. Okay, I think now you can start your video.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Hey, Adam, thank you so much for your presentation. It's great to hear that, you know, people like you is asking big question. You know, thanks to your presentation, I did do some study about disaster recovery effort and whatnot. And I do quickly realize that there's a whole big maze of, you know, federal and state agencies that kind of, you know, work out. And I was pleasantly surprised. FEMA has, you know, 8 principles and national disaster recovery framework, whatnot. So there are a bunch of federal actors as well as state actors. Where do you think these, you know, NGO like yours would fit in terms of the big framework of actors who try to step into the disaster recovery?
Yeah, ultimately, I want to partner with organizations or large governmental organizations like FEMA. But I think what's happening as disasters kind of increase in pace, frequency, and costs is a lot of these government backstops are being overwhelmed. And so you saw Puerto Rico in 2017 with an immense amount of waste and just not a great overall response. And now in Louisiana, the same thing, that this region has been hit 2 years in a row, and everyone that I talk to on the ground in the disaster zone is extremely fed up with the government and even at the state level response. And I think the reason is they're just overwhelmed with the amount of disasters that are occurring. And the response that is required. So long-term, I view them as a partner. I'd love to create a national registry of recovery needs where any organization, manufacturing, retailing, or donor can go and see what is required at a national or even international level to respond to a specific disaster or types of disaster.
Okay, so do you think it's really the issue of redistribution of resources that we have at hands, or is it something else?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. In the U.S., FEMA can be politicized to a certain extent, and I think that's in some ways, unfortunately, what you saw happen over the past 4 years. But really looking forward, I think it's Swiss Re just came out with a report that potentially by 2050, my daughter will be 30 years old, which is crazy to think of, but 2050 she'll be 30. The economic impact to GDP could be over 20% or 18%. So my hypothesis is if we are on this trajectory, which all signals suggest we are unless we change, then governments are going to be overwhelmed. And so there does need to be a partnership between private and public to make disaster relief more efficient. The model that we've used in the past, when the 100-year storm only happened every 100 years, isn't working now that it's happening every couple of years, or really every year. And so there needs to be a closer relationship and greater technology use between the public and private sectors.
Great. So Adam, you picked the Delaware Benefit Corporation rather than,
Yes.
let's say, C Corporation. What are your thoughts behind that decision?
Yes. So we are a for-profit technology company. So part of that is in order to acquire long-term stable capital rather than fundraising year over year as a nonprofit or some other type of structure, a for-profit structure is required. But at the same time, purely profit maximization in this space, disaster relief and helping people, doesn't make the most sense, particularly given a climate conscious bend. And so the Public Benefit Corporation allows us to have a dual mandate of profit maximization, but also socially responsible mission. And that mission is to help as many survivors and people, communities as possible. And so that's why I chose the Public Benefit Corporation structure.
Okay, great. Well, given the fact that you were a former trader and I was actually a database engineer at Barclays Global Investors, so we kind of are on the same kind of umbrella group. That's great to hear. Where do you see the arbitrage opportunities when you see the increasing frequency of these disasters, and you forming this company as a Delaware public benefit company?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to answer. So interestingly, millennials are picking up in terms of their overall wealth. In 10 years, they'll be one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest demographic, particularly in the US. And they demand a social, have historically demanded a socially conscious mission. With that said, there's there's low supply of companies with a social good focus, particularly public companies. So if you think out 10 years down the line, as these millennials are hitting their peak earnings, peak investment, peak investing age, there's going to be a low amount of supply for of socially responsible public companies versus the overall demand. So there's a pretty big gap that needs to be filled. And if it's not, then potentially these socially responsible companies are going to command a higher premium just because there's more demand by these younger, formerly younger investors. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Great.
But that's along the lines.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much, Adam.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Dan and Adam. So I want to introduce next startup is 3R Water. 3R Water is a climate technology company that has enterprise mobile and data platform, which helps the municipal water stormwater agencies respond to climate change by collecting stormwater metrics and providing easy to use community engagement tool. Lauren, please start your pitch when you're ready.
All right, thank you so much. Aloha, everyone. I am Lauren Roth-Van-Nu. I am the founder and CEO of 3R Water. And as Takao just mentioned, we are a climate technology company. We help cities basically adapt to climate change by collecting stormwater metrics. But really importantly, we helped private property owners to also reduce their flooding and pollution. So cities really around the globe have this big goal, and what they're trying to do is build equitable, climate resilient communities that involve nature-based infrastructure, importantly build human capacity, and move water systems to the digital age. And really this is stemming from the issues that have happened in the past and are currently still happening. So I'm just going to give you an example of the city of Houston, which is really representative of many cities around the globe. Just in the past 30 years, they've seen now 70% of their grassland and prairies being replaced with hard surfaces. These are things like roofs, roads, parking lots, and all of this combined is leading to more flooding and pollution. And what's significant about this is this problem is not going away. There's a trend now that is estimated about 70% of the world's population will be living in urban centers by the year 2050. And so, of course, we have the compounding effects of climate change, but just even on small events, we're seeing more flooding, more pollution, and even impacting our future water supply, since that rainwater is no longer getting back into the ground. And so to combat this, many cities around the globe are recognizing the value to reinstall these nature-based solutions back into the urban centers to restore that water cycle. Now it's coined green infrastructure. And so these are practices like rainwater harvesting, green roofs, rain gardens, permeable pavement. And what they all have in common is that they are designed to capture stormwater, filter it, and ultimately get it back into the ground in a decentralized, distributed way. And they also have many other positive impacts to help mitigate the issues with climate change, including absorbing carbon dioxide and reducing that heat island effect. But through our customer discovery process, with over 200 stormwater agencies, we found that these three recurring pain points emerged, mostly stemming from the fact that, not surprisingly, these governments are still using paper-based systems or antiquated softwares to engage with the community and also try to manage these assets. Moreover, they really don't have much stormwater data in a modern sense to go off of. And so what ends up happening is, even if they have these green infrastructure assets, they often go undocumented, unmaintained, and they have no idea how much stormwater these systems are really managing. Moreover, most of the property owners in their jurisdiction are frustrated with the government. They don't understand where their money is going to prevent flooding and pollution. And moreover, they're not given any solutions on how they can also be part of mitigating stormwater runoff on their own properties. So the reality is yes, the infrastructure does need to be upgraded, but the truth of it is that there's this huge technology gap and this need to build human capacity. I mean, when we talk about building climate adaptation solutions, the magnitude is so great that end of pipe or single source solutions are just not going to be the answer. And many cities are recognizing that we need a distributed community-based approach where everyone and every little part, when it all comes together, can create a big solution to help solve this problem. So our solution is the Follow the Drop mobile and data platform is the first and only product on the market to basically enhance that community engagement and build that human capacity to be able to have access to these green infrastructure solutions. And importantly, it also greatly improves the efficiency and efficacy of these stormwater agencies to manage their programs while also collecting those important data and metrics that they need for reporting to value their success. And it also comes with a whole host of other benefits. You know, some of them for cities, for example, it allows them to, the software is customizable to be able to match their program. And it's also very easy to use, which is really important for those for the front-facing property owners who are using the product. So what is Follow the Drop? Well, Follow the Drop is an enterprise software that we license to these municipalities through a subscription-based model. With that license, they're able to freely distribute the software to anyone in their jurisdiction or their customers. And then it basically tells them, the property owner, where and how much stormwater is being generated on their property, and it optimizes various types and sizes of stormwater capture solutions. The data is entered into the app, and then 3R Water provides ongoing data management services for those municipalities to review these projects, have efficient asset management, and then oftentimes where they have incentive programs, we can then also support billing. So when these projects get installed, for example, a property owner may get a reduction on their bill. So I'll give you an example of how Follow the Drop works with the City and County of Honolulu. That we initially did a pilot program, and I'll walk you through a little bit of how the software worked with them. So with what was going on with the City and County of Honolulu, they wanted to test the software and data platform in a priority watershed located in East Honolulu that was experiencing regular nuisance flooding. It has pollution issues. It even has issues with future supply, since the groundwater resources are lower in that area. And so what we were able to do is undergo a baseline stormwater assessment with a little over 1,800 properties. These are represented in the drops shown on the map interface on the left. And with each of these properties, we were able to assess the stormwater footprint, runoff volumes, as well as the optimum size green infrastructure solution, and test out what the fee credit might be should they implement these projects. And then the data can be congregated. So again, on the left, the stormwater shown in the tan bar graphs is showing the stormwater runoff volumes coming off all of these individual properties. And the blue representing that there's a potential of 90% capture rate should all of these property owners implement these green infrastructure projects. And so the data outputs also into a CSV file, which makes it really easy for these utilities to summarize their data. And so just to kind of give you an idea, and I converted it to metrics, the total volume, for example, coming off of this, this sub-watershed is roughly about 448 million liters per year. And if they were all to implement, optimum size green infrastructure, that would be about 90% of that stormwater being captured. And then this was compared to their existing incentive program, which was really only these small rain barrels, which is about a 3% capture rate. And the importance of this study was to look at what percentage of the community would need to implement these green infrastructure projects to have a real impact. And so later, through the City and County of Honolulu helped us with a partnership with Mulama Mauna Lua, also located their watershed nonprofit group in this area. And what they're doing now is going in and offering free stormwater assessments using the app and working with these property owners to survey them. Would they install these projects with or without an additional incentive? And this information is also coming back to the city to support their future incentive program. We also provide some software customization specifically to support their needs for asset management and also to have a much better way of communicating with their customers. So basically the app helps track the status of the project, which phase of the project it's in. It'll send push notifications to the user to upload new photos, and they can easily track these assets over time. So why us? Well, I have over personally 20 years experience in the water sector, serving both public and private clients. Specifically, I've been a climate resiliency consultant as well as a green infrastructure designer. And King & Gilbert also has 20 years experience, except in the software development and marketing space. And so our go-to-market strategy really has been a bootstrap strategy and really focused on sales. We launched in 2020 and have 2 existing customers. We've been able to renew our contract with the City and County of Honolulu and have gained a customer in Auckland, the Auckland Council, to support their rainwater harvesting tank program. And so what we do, similar to that Honolulu example, is we come in often with a paid pilot where we can then also offer some of that software customization and trial it in a priority area. And that's where we can work with a local nonprofit agency, or we can also just work with the city outreach staff. And then following the success of those projects, we then enter into our enterprise license business model. So globally, the stormwater technology market right now is about 13 billion. It is growing at a rate between 8 and 9% per year because climate issues are only accelerating. If we just look at the US stormwater utility market alone, that's about $500 million a year, and about 10% of that targeted would be about $50 million per year ARR, and that's excluding our expansion into the global market. But really what we're trying to do is in the next 5 years to get tens of millions of people having access to our app and to these climate adaptation solutions, because the time is now. We need to accelerate getting more nature-based infrastructure installed. We need to build that human capacity and importantly, manage those assets digitally. So arigato gozaimasu, mahalo nui, and thank you very much. I'll look forward to any questions.
Thank you very much, Lauren. The judge for question 3 order is Makiko Suzuki from Akario Innovation. Akario Innovation is corporate venture capital of Tokyo Gas, which is one of the biggest utility companies in Japan. Makiko is currently working as a principal to find strategic partnerships and investment in US startup to accelerate decarbonization for the project. Makiko is also one of the speakers at the Women and Empowerment and Climate Change session at our event tomorrow. Hi, Makiko. Thank you for being here today. Please ask your question when you're ready.
Thank you, Laura, for your presentation. I was very interested to hear it. So actually in Japan, where is my hometown and also Bay Area, it's where I live. We are seeing more and more heavy rains. We call it guerrilla rains in Japanese. And so your solution might be beneficial for both Tokyo and Japan and also Bay Area, and not only those areas, but also the whole world, because of course, you know, there's so many heavy rains. So I actually somehow the question about the business model itself, because I realized that your business has many stakeholders and each area, each country has many different cultures. So how do you handle those culture difference between the stakeholders? If you have some idea towards that, please let me know.
Okay, well, great question. And in all honesty, I haven't gone into the Japanese market yet, so I recognize there would be specific culture that I would need to understand to better answer that question specifically. We have engaged, however, with outside the United States and Hawaii, as I mentioned, with Auckland, and I can give you at least that example. So in Auckland, they highly value the Maori culture. And so what we're doing as part of our customization of the software is some of the notifications will be in Te Reo Maori and have a connection to that culture as part of our ramp up and startup with our product. So we're aligning. They brought in a cultural consultant who will help us with implementing that language into the app, for example. So I would say we would lean on the agency that's bringing us in to guide us on how best to work in that culture.
Right. And one more question I have. So your product is using the smartphone application. That is a very characterize your business, I think. So how do you find out that communication tool is very beneficial for your realizing your business?
Right, so we wanted to, so just to give a little background, so sort of the birth of this was, in my own business needs, I found that, number one, a lot of our customers really had no idea about how much stormwater they were generating on their properties. And number two, we're not connected with what the cities are trying to do with these green infrastructure. So, I would have to go out and assess these large landowners and look for opportunities of where they could do water conservation or collect their stormwater. And I ended up having to go through multiple pathways. I had to go out and take photos, and then I had to come back and go into GIS, measure out areas, and then use our modeling software, and then output something that our customers could understand. So I thought, how can we put this all together in a really easy to use tool that not only I could use as a professional, but that it could be really easy for anyone to have an understanding of their impact and their solution. So when we first rolled it out, we actually piloted with 4th and 5th grade students. And we really wanted to make it fun and interactive. And we got a lot of great feedback from the kids on it. And so it's evolved a lot since then, but we really, the point being is that we still take that user feedback, for example, to look at how ways we can keep the city's customers engaged.
Thank you, that's great. I was happy to hear that. I guess the time is out, right, Takaho-san?
You have one
more question,
minute.
yeah.
You can ask one more question.
So if you have the scale plan, so because there are so many stakeholders, it looks like slightly harder to scale. So if you have any, please let me know.
Sure. Yeah. So our first goal is to get at least into 15 cities globally, and that's our goal in the next few years. After we accomplish that, we are looking at going into what I'm calling a professional version, which wouldn't be too much different than this version, but targeting professionals that are architects, engineers, planners, and people in the green building space, where they can have some access to the back end calculations to get more specific on the sizing of some of these systems. So that's coming up, I think, in the next 3 to 5 years. And then furthering that, once we have enough reoccurring revenue, we want to offer a free version to all individuals globally. And what that'll mean is that it'll have probably some limited features, but what it'll do is we'll just have ownership over that data. So currently, when we do these licenses with the city, they're buying the data from us. And then when we roll out an individual license, we would be collecting that data.
Impressive. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Makiko and Lauren. As I said before, Makiko will join as a speaker tomorrow's event, where we will bring a lot of experts from both Japan and Hawaii to discuss the ESG challenging. If you're interested in tomorrow's event, please keep the Zoom link in the chat and log in from it tomorrow at 12 p.m. in Hawaii time. Thank you, Makiko. Okay, last but not least, I wanted to welcome Blue Planet Energy, which makes clean energy accessible with safe, distributed battery-based microgrid that provide reliable power to homes, businesses, and communities around the world. Hi, Chris. Please start your pitch once you're ready.
Thank you, Takaho-san. Okay. Aloha, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm Chris Johnson, CEO of Blue Planet Energy, a company that is inviting us all to live the future today. Blue Planet Energy was founded in Hawaii in 2015, a place with the highest cost of electricity in the US, 70% of which is generated by burning imported fossil fuels. Expensive electricity is a problem for economic growth and equity. So today I'm very excited to be here to connect with potential partners in Japan about expanding affordable, reliable, clean energy in Japan and around the world. Our founder, Hank Rogers, has been working on solutions to the climate crisis for over 15 years. Our company was launched after he went to put solar panels on his own house in Honolulu and was told by the local utility that he could not do so because there was already too much solar energy. He realized the need for energy storage to enable a decarbonized electricity system. Blue Planet Energy is a mission-driven company established as a Delaware public benefit corporation with its headquarters in Hawaii. Our mission is to enable and inspire humanity to achieve 100% renewable energy by or before 2045 by providing information, systems, and solutions that make fossil fuels obsolete. Since our founding, we have expanded our operations to include California, Illinois, and Puerto Rico, and our staff span more than a dozen states. We address both aspects of the climate crisis, the need for climate mitigation and climate adaptation by accelerating the adoption of renewables and enabling resilience in energy systems. The climate emergencies requires us to accelerate getting off of fossil fuels and switching to clean energy sources. But renewable energies are hindered by the need for expensive investments in upgrading the grid to accommodate them, as well as the fact that they vary in when they're available, which may not match the needs of the energy users. Studies have shown that distributed solar and energy storage is one of the most cost-effective ways to get to a reliable, clean energy system. And not only is it solar and batteries, as one of the things I find many people don't know is that when the grid goes down, solar panels don't work. So we focus on what we call a microgrid, a clean energy microgrid, which enables renewables and the resilience. It's more complex, it takes extra hardware, but it will allow us to increasingly to provide the resilience as we electrify more of our loads. Now, the benefits of Blue Planet energy systems are that they are both cost-effective, sustainable, resilient, and adaptable. They have a lower cost of ownership than our competitors, last a very long time, and require little to no maintenance. They also provide alternatives to expensive grid upgrades. They are sustainable in that they allow for the use of on-site clean energy, and they also are built around, our products are built around an ethical supply chain, which eliminates the use of toxics and also ethical supply chain challenged chemicals that are used in some competitors' products. By resilience, we mean that they're fully operational when the grid goes down, which is why we call them grid optional. So we can do fully off-grid or a resilient system that is connected to the grid, but can be islanded. And this allows for peace of mind during extreme events and also allows for business continuity. Finally, we want to make sure that we future-proof our systems by making them adaptable. They are built to be easily integrated with other energy systems and include a sophisticated software for monitoring and control of the energy systems. Today in production, we have two products, the Blue Ion HI and the Blue Ion LX. Both of these systems are built with our proprietary enclosure system, which is designed and manufactured in the United States. They're meant to be scalable, and you can tailor the sizing of these systems very much to the needs of the customer. All our systems also include the software package, which allows for enabling flexible energy systems. So whether or not there's grid, whether or not there's renewables, and whether or not there's a generator attached, that can all be balanced and then managed with load controls to make sure that the system stays stable. To date, we've had very strong market traction. With nearly 1,000 installations around the world, we have delivered to our customers over 4.5 gigawatt hours of energy. And that's our customers are relying on our systems to power their critical energy needs every day. About half our customer base is residential, and the other half is commercial. And we've done this through building a very robust dealer network. So these dealers are our installers. There are nearly 300 of them now, and they cover all 50 states in the United States. And we've been expanding into Canada, the Pacific Islands, Latin America, and have a very strong foothold in the Caribbean as well. One of the projects we're proud of is working in the rebuilding after Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, is to have provided the largest energy resilience project in the United States, which was funded by the American Red Cross. They invested in putting resilient energy systems on 125 emergency shelters in Puerto Rico to ensure that people in all municipalities had access to a place to go in a time of emergency. Since being installed, these systems have been used during the many earthquakes that happened in Puerto Rico, as well as subsequent hurricanes and other disasters. We are on the very burgeoning aspect of a very large market that will be growing very quickly. Energy storage itself is poised to grow over 7x before the end of the decade. And North America and Asian Pacific markets are particularly strong. To give you a sense of what that means between now and where we've been, that means we need in the US alone to work on the decarbonization of the electrical grid in the next 15 years, we need to do 1,000 times the cumulative installation base of all the energy storage that's been deployed to date. So we're just on the tip of this really accelerating, and there's an enormous opportunity here. To realize the potential of this market opportunity, Blue Planet Energy has an exceptionally talented team and has built a company culture that drives innovation, service, and quality. The team of more than 30 people includes experienced leaders from across the clean energy industry and startups. Myself, I've been working in sustainability in various forms for over 20 years as a CEO. Steve has been involved in climate energy project financing and investing, including in Asia. And Michael, I mentioned, is also a co-founder of Volta, a electric vehicle charging company that just went public via a SPAC in the US market. I'm very proud of this team. We've got years of experience working together, and we have a proven ability to manage rapid growth in our demand while ensuring quality and continuous improvement in the product itself. We are known for our outstanding quality, technical support, and integrity in business. And thanks to our founder, Hank Rogers, who lived in Japan for many years, we also have business partners in Japan, including the manufacturer of our battery cells, Murata, which was formerly Sony's energy division. We at Blue Planet Energy know that people around the world want to accelerate the transition to a clean energy future. From our proven success in Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and other islands, and especially in places with expensive electricity, we believe Japan will be an excellent area to expand adoption of clean energy microgrids. We are seeking strategic partners who want to enable Japan to advance sustainable energy, as well as investors interested in a growth stage climate tech company. Mahalo for your time. I look forward to connecting with many of you.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. So the judge who asked a question to the last startup is Nick Sugimoto, CEO of Honda Innovations, which is the global open innovation hub of Honda based in California. Nick also serves as corporate venturing supervisor of Honda Motors and Honda's corporate headquarters in Japan. Nick oversees Honda's advanced technology collaboration project, as well as strategic partnership program on the global basis. Aloha, Nick, please start your question when you're ready.
Oh, great. Thanks for the intro. And Chris, very nice presentation. It's quite impressive. Yeah, I have a couple of questions. So yeah, you're totally right. You know, as the world goes to more carbon neutral society, definitely microgrid is needed and more renewable energy source is needed. And renewable energy is known for uncontrollable source of energy. So definitely there should be a storage or buffer between the supply and demand. So I totally understand that proposal. But, you know, in reality, there are other people who are looking at the same opportunity, right? So who are your major competitors now and the future? And what's your strategy to win?
Great question. And thank you, Nick. Very nice to meet you today. So we have seen a number of competitors come and go over the years. We're getting to the point where we're sort of considered established in the space, I guess, because so many companies have disappeared so quickly. So today, I would say that you know, a competitor that most people recognize brand name-wise would be Tesla. They have products which really have a different operating profile than we have. So our products have more power, you know, a 50% longer warranty, and more than twice as long a lifetime. They also don't have the nickel and cobalt elements inside, which cause thermal runaway and have supply chain ethical issues. However, of course, the chemistry that we use, which is an iron phosphate, non-toxic, common, is not unique to us. There are other companies using it as well. I think really where we have focused on some of the differentiation is around mastering the complexity of microgrids. They are just a much harder installation than what we've seen with just folks who want to use energy storage to reduce demand charges for commercial customers. There's been several companies that have come along doing this, but that's not enough to actually provide the resilience. And so we're leveraging our software platform to enable us to really adopt to the electrification movement that's happening, and building on the fact that we have really robust batteries. So we can provide more power, we can balance those systems, use the smarts of the software and the reliability of the battery to enable that kind of microgrid.
Great. So sounds like your software is a key ingredient or a secret sauce to make your system better. In terms of improvement toward the future, you probably write all the improvement of components like battery or solar cells, all of them will get better in the future. How do you improve your software to compete against other competitors to catch up?
Great question. Yeah. So, and solar is really kind of considered a mature industry at this point, maybe 4 decades in the making. The lithium battery market, only about a decade of real scale production. So there is definitely still more room to go there. On the software side, one of the things we face is an immensely bifurcated market. Every utility has different rate structures, have different programs, have different rules. And so we look for places where we have, there's high cost of electricity, possibly a need for resilience, whether that's based on the customer or the unreliability of the grid, and where there's good incentives for adapting microgrids or energy storage. So those tend right now to emerge on the coasts of the US, but also, working in a lot of places where we might be considered grid edge. And again, it is a harder market to get into than what some of the products that are a bit simpler in what they can deliver. And so we've kind of created that moat by saying, we'll take on the hard stuff. So the software does need to accommodate that. That's why, for instance, we can integrate a generator in our products. A lot of energy storage companies, they can't integrate a generator. But if we're going into, say, a hospital or an area that already has a generator as a backup system, we can essentially displace that and make our system be the backup, or as well as working daily, and then rely on the generator if needed. So it's some of those things where we're actually looking forward to adding the smarts into the software, especially around balancing, right? As rate structures shift, how can we economically optimize as well as delivering the decarbonized electricity?
Great. Is there anything else you want to say to potential Japanese large corporations or strategic partners?
Sure. One thing I'll mention is over this last year, we were very proud to create a financing product for our commercial clean energy microgrids. And I think this is a result of the proven track record, the establishment of the company, and also really working with financial partners to create a solution here. For a long time, there's been the ability to have a no money down solar installation, but having a microgrid is a newer product. And so we're one of a very few number of companies now who've been able to do this. One of the other ones is Schneider Electric, a much larger company, obviously, who's done this. But we have been positioned ourselves really as a leader in this space of the clean energy microgrids. And so this product allows for the investor to make a good return, the customer to have no money down, and the customer has savings from day one. So the economics are working such for really a win-win-win. And we really think this is something that would also thrive in Japan.
Great. Very nice to meet you. Great presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Nick.
you so much, Nick and Chris. So, all right, this was the last pitch and Q&A session. Nick will also join our speaker session with Scott Glenn, Chief Energy Officer, to discuss the future of EV tomorrow's event. If you're interested in tomorrow's event, where Nick will join as a speaker, please keep the Zoom link in the chat login from it tomorrow at 12 p.m. at the Hawaii time. Okay, while did the judge go discuss and evaluate out the pitches to select the first prize winner, we would like to welcome Ryo Okuda from Dentsu Engawa Kyoto. Ryo will introduce Kyoto's interesting startups. Engawa Kyoto was created by Dentsu Inc. to support the innovations of individuals, corporations, and societies in the Shijo Karasuyama area of Kyoto. Engawa Kyoto supports the co-creation of business with those people and communicate the communities to boost the Japanese economy. Aloha, Ryo. Thank you so much for being part of this event today. Please start your presentation when you're ready.
Aloha. Can you see the presentation in full screen now?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for being here today. I hope you guys enjoy this event so far. While the judges discuss about the startup pitch, I would like to talk about ingenious innovation in Kyoto and scaling up. This is Ryo Okuda from Japan, Dentsu Inc. as Takaho-san just introduced, I'm a new business consultant in Dentsu for about 10 years. I've been working on co-creation teams and promoted innovation with multiple companies, such as Japanese mega companies, as well as Japanese potential startups. I'm also part of Engawa KYOTO operational team, so I'm talking today here as a representative from Engawa. Welcome to Engawa KYOTO. Let me introduce a little bit about Engawa KYOTO today, just a little bit. This is a co-host of this Island Innovation 2021. And this picture is an exterior of the facility. As you see, the plug and play Kyoto, do you see the plug and play Kyoto logo? And so the plug and play Kyoto is a resident of this facility. And so we work pretty close together as a family. Engawa KYOTO is a co-working and share office managed by Dentsu Inc. And as Takaho-san mentioned, it is located in the heart of Kyoto City, and it got direct access from Karasuma Station and Shijo Station. If you have been to Kyoto, you might have pretty much idea of where the Karasuma Station, and it's like it's pretty much the center of Kyoto. And it got 2 stories high, and it has several meeting rooms as well as an open seats. We'll also have kitchen, event space, maximum of audience about 100 people. Also, we have kitchen, so we can have like a dinner party like this. And we also have gallery space rented out for local art galleries. The pictures I just showed looked pretty empty, but we have done various kinds of events in the facility, including no events. As you see, is the man wearing the mask. That's like a Japanese traditional art plays on the stage, and we invited the artists from the like traditional Kyoto no artists to the Engawa, and we had no night, and it was fascinating. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we could not throw such big events for a while, but situation in Japan seems recovering. So events like these are slowly getting back in track again. Yeah, when things get better enough, we definitely invite many guests from Hawaii to have offline island innovation events here in Engawa. And this is the whole Dentsu team running Engawa KYOTO, and I am in the middle. And I just introduced Engawa KYOTO as a co-working space and share office. But as you see, it's not a place for people to, not just people to just work, but we run multiple programs to connect businesses and people to stimulate innovation. We run multiple acceleration programs with plug and play as well as our clients. And people sometimes ask why Kyoto? And that question leads to my talk today, Ingenious Innovation in Kyoto. Kyoto is a crossing place of art, science, and crafts. And Kyoto, of course, is a city where Japanese culture and origin are deeply rooted. And it has the power to attract people not only from Japan, but from all over the world. We believe in the power of the place, and we aim to stimulate the innovation from Engawa KYOTO. And to talk about ingenious innovation, I would like to mention a little more about Kyoto. What makes Kyoto Kyoto? It got history. It's one of the earliest areas in Japan's history where cultures has flourished. It says it has been more than 1,000 years since the center of Japan was in Kyoto. As in craft, it got a large number of historic architects like shrines and temples, and it got a large number of national designated traditional crafts. And the last one is science. Surprising for many people, it is called City of Students. And Kyoto got a lot of universities. It is said it's one of the city with most university students. And that university includes Kyoto University. That's one of the top university, top Japanese university with the most Nobel Prize winners in Japan. And ingenious innovation in Kyoto shared some traits of the city as well. History, art and craft originated in university. From here, I will introduce some Kyoto-based startups that represent ingenious innovation. The first characteristic is history. Historically and culturally, especially small to medium-sized businesses, the son or the daughter of the family have a claim to inherit the family business. Particularly in Kyoto, it's not rare to find businesses which has 100 plus years of history. And if you have your business is 100 years of history, if somebody say it's still young. But it's in a rapidly changing business environment. When the son or daughter takes over the business, they try to make change in management, a renewal of the business inherit from the previous generation, and the challenge of entering the new business areas that have not been challenged before or the business itself. And Mitsufuji is one big example of that kind of cooperation. The Mitsufuji is a company that was established in 1956. It was originally founded as an obi factory. Obi is a belt for those kimonos. And it was obi factory for Nishijin textile. Nishijin textile is Japanese traditional textile used for kimono belt, and it's very expensive ones. But less and less people wear kimono, and cheap kimono belts started to be imported from other countries. So they decided to make a big term to be from Nishijin Obi production company, and they decided to transform into a healthcare company, which produces wearable IoT health monitoring device utilizing technology and technique to produce Nishijin textile. And this wearable solution is called Hamon, and it monitors stress, drowsiness, heat sickness, and other physical condition. And you can monitor wearers' data on tablets. And it is used in construction sites to ensure worker safety. And another one, the next one is art and craft. The company is called, company I would like to introduce is called Strolly. And it develops technology that crosses map and art and provides an online platform so anyone can take their original art map linked to Google Map. And the left side, this map is about Shinjuku, Tokyo. The right left side is the normal version of Shinjuku, and it's it's normal, but it's it's somehow boring. And if you bring the sense of art into the map, and this is the same map from this left hand side Google Map, and you can put the art piece into the map, and it still works just as a map. And you can click on those icons and to see the detail of the map. And this technology provides a value of the region by introducing new ways of showing the region to people who know that region better, and by combining it with artists who express a world's view. And they are the first Japanese company to win an award at South by Southwest, on a big technology event held in United States, and become an official map of the South by Southwest. And this is another map art piece of Kyoto featuring Shinsengumi, which is a private police force formed in Edo period and still is very popular among Japanese people. And you might recognize how different these pieces are, but still it got some sense of culture into the map. And another one is called, the last section is startup from originated in university. The first company I would like to I would introduce is Regional Fish. This company is aiming to make innovation in aquatic industry with the power of high-speed breeding and smart aquaculture utilizing genome editing technology. They're working to solve food problems such as protein crisis in declining Japanese fish industry. You see on the left side, it is a sea breams, which has thicker meat, and you see the puffer fish. The upper one is the one that bred with their technology, and it is obviously bigger than the down one on the bottom. And with their technology, the fish is not only get bigger, but also grows faster. And they say it's like the speed of the fish growth is about like double of the normal speed. And this is the last company I would like to introduce. It's called Bagmo. And this company also focusing on the issue of protein crisis. And they promote a culture of crickets as a protein source. And their originality is that they're not focusing on producing tasty cricket food, but they set their mission on developing automatic cricket farming solution to provide stable supply on cricket when cricket eating culture becomes common and demand increases. They are going through POC process for automated farming solution in cooperation with Hyogo Prefecture at a closed elementary school, as you see on the picture POC site. They also produce cricket snack just to establish a culture of cricket food. And I just had this snack. If you see closely, this is like cricket shaped snack, but it looks kind of strange, and it tastes really good, and it went well with a beer. So if you have a chance, you should try one. And this is the end of the presentation. Thank you very much, Takaho-san. I will get back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I have a couple of questions, and then okay, I think there's the question from Risa. Why did you make a co-working place in Kyoto instead of Tokyo or Osaka?
Oh, Kyoto. Well, as I mentioned, Kyoto has such a power to rural people from, not only from Japan, but all over the world. And when we established this facility, it was no pandemic. So we really wanted to invite, people from all over the world. And fortunately, we to this facility, there are more than 1,800 people in 1 year as a visitor. And that was for the first year, and that was before the pandemic. And we invited people from London, India, of course from Hawaii. Takaho-san have come here, right?
Yes.
And that was and Kyoto was the most popular place in Japan. So yes, that's the main reason why we have opened this facility in Kyoto.
Great. Okay, so one more question. I think there's one question. What is the difference between Kyoto startup and other Japanese startup?
Well, Kyoto startups, I think they have traits like history, art and craft, and originated in university, especially like a history based in Kyoto, art and craft originated in Kyoto, and university, like the startups that was, structured in with when the CEO was still a student in university, and mostly Kyoto University graduates. They form, they start good startups, and I think that's the characteristic that Kyoto startups has.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I think that's all question, and that was very interesting insight. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I see one more question.
Oh, what is it? Sorry.
What is a cricket food company name? That's
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Bagamo, yeah, Bagamo.
Okay.
Can they ship to Hawaii? Well, we have to check that out. You know, there might be some rules.
Actually, I have the website that I have. I can copy and paste. Okay.
Thank you very much for the questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryo. Okay, I just sent the link of the Bagmo. Oh yeah, thank you, Ishihara-san, for doing that. Okay, thank you for joining this very long event. It's been 2 hours, and I think the judges reach out to the conclusion of who is the first prize winner. Nobu, can you announce the first prize winner?
Hi. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for waiting for a long time, and thank you for watching and listening to the event. We collected all the votes from judges, and yeah, all the startup pitches were pretty impressive. And who knew that Hawaii has such a great ESG startup scene? And so I hope that this event creates more collaboration and investment opportunities to those startups. So, but we chose the best of the best today. And so the first place winners is KAS. Yeah, I also have a little problem to the pronounce correctly.
Heidi. I think Heidi is
Heidi.
gone.
Is it gone?
Oh no, she's here. Hi, Heidi. You won your first prize.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness.
Do you have any comments?
Well, all the talks were so amazing. I'm so inspired by all these wonderful stories that we heard today. So, I mean, they all are deserving, very deserving companies, and I hope they all get support from your over 200 participants today. And of course, we're so honored, and thank you so much for your help along the way. And we look forward to going to Kyoto, to that beautiful space, hopefully, and meeting some of our customers there. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. That's all for the day one pitch
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you. I wanted to thank you to all of the startups, judges, partners. Oh, shoot, I forgot to share the screen because this is important. I wanted to thank you to all of the judges, partners, and audience today. Thank you for being part of Island Innovation Demo Day. See you tomorrow for our conference session. You should be able to see the link to tomorrow's event in the chat. Please save it to log into our event tomorrow, 12 p.m. Before leaving this webinar, please remember to help us with the survey. Your feedback is important to ask for the future event. Thank you.